In this video I will create 3 cards in a Halloween and autumn theme. You will see how to use the leaf stencil with and without the matching 3D embossing folder in a fun and original way. I will also share a few stamping tips, a design tip that may help with your card layouts, and of course you will see how I color the images from Carla Creates. Hello, it's CisVolk. Time to enjoy card making with me. Most of what I show in this video is quite easy to follow, so I decided to keep the voiceover to a minimum this time. I will jump in whenever a little extra explanation may be helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. You will also find product information and links to the products I used in the description underneath this video. Sit back and enjoy watching! Did you notice that I left the edges of the paper white? That was intentional to create a natural white border around the design. Most of my stamping is done with Versafine Onyx Black ink. After stamping, I sprinkle clear embossing powder over the image. Then I heat it with a heat tool. This gives you a beautiful stamped image, with a raised outline that makes coloring much easier. For coloring the images on all 3 cards, I used the same distress oxide colors as I used for the backgrounds. Those colors are Fire Brick, Rusty Hinge, Fossilized Amber, Rustic Wilderness and Candied Apple, with tumbled glass added as an extra color. I enjoy coloring on Florence smooth white watercolor paper with a Tombow water brush. Between colors I clean the water brush and dry it on a piece of kitchen paper. While coloring I noticed that the ink was not blending very smoothly. The color was not flowing as nicely as usual. It turned out there was no water left in the water brush, which explained a lot. I will show you an easy way to refill your water brush with a pipette without having to walk over to the tap. And afterwards you can clearly see that coloring the second pumpkin goes much more smoothly than coloring the first one. I color quite quickly and don't worry too much about staying inside the lines, because the images will be cut out later anyway. I do make sure the colors of the images match the colors in the blended background. I could have colored the leaves in the same way as the background with the blending brushes, but that would have made them blend in too much. Instead, I colored them with a water brush to make them stand out more and create extra contrast. For the next card, I want to show you how to combine the stencil with the matching embossing folder, while keeping parts of the design uncolored for a different effect. The sentiment I will be using comes from this stamp set, which is also from the Hello Autumn collection. Notice how I first rub the stamp gently with my finger before stamping with distressed oxide ink. To avoid coloring the entire card panel, I first create a mask by die cutting a circle from a piece of smooth cardstock. The circle die I am using is from the 2025 Christmas collection by Carla Creates. Watch closely how I use this mask because it creates a really fun effect. Spray your watercolor paper with water before dry embossing it in the 3D embossing folder to prevent cracks and creases in the paper. And always run the folder through your die cutting machine with the hinge towards the machine so it won't break. Keep in mind to let your paper dry well before adding ink to it. finished card where I combined the embossing folder with the stencil and used the mask to only color a circle in the middle. For the next card I will only use the stencil and show you a useful design tip that helps when making creative choices for your card layouts. So save this video if you would like to watch it again later, and feel free to share it with a crafty friend who loves card making as much as we do. Because I will be doing some watercoloring, I use a piece of A6 watercolor paper. Hold the stamp and stencil above the paper to decide where you want to place them. Then use the grid lines on your work mat to work out how wide the border should be. I placed the sentiment next to it and counted the squares. The border needs to be at least 3.5 squares wide. Then I position the masking tape. This time I'm using blending foams instead of blending brushes. If you want a very soft blend, or if you are working through a stencil, I usually recommend blending brushes. But when you want to apply more ink, especially on textured or watercolor paper, blending foams are often much quicker. Here you can clearly see that I stick the masking tape down on the left side first and then guide it with my other hand. I don't press down the other side until it sits exactly on top of the green ink line. I am mainly using the tape here to mask and protect the area underneath from the next layers of ink. Later, when I start coloring the hedgehog, I place the tape back over it again so I don't accidentally splash water onto that section. The reason I switched to blending brushes now is that they allow me to build up the color very gradually. Several light layers usually give a nicer result than one heavy layer. That way you can keep checking the result as you go. I also like brushes here because they reach into all the little openings without catching on the sharp edges of the stencil. I didn't mask the hedgehog, but I carefully blend around him with the brushes. And if a little ink ends up on the hedgehog, that is not a problem at all. The same colors I am using on the stencil right now will also be used to color the hedgehog later. Even the blue and yellow. Although a hedgehog is normally brown. And that creates a surprisingly fun effect. Here comes an interesting card making tip for you. I am placing a piece of clear packaging plastic on top of the card. An acetate sheet works just as well. I felt the background looked a little too soft and I wanted to add some black accents. But before drawing directly on the card and risking a mistake, I first test the idea on the plastic. With a fine liner, I trace a few of the leaves onto the plastic sheet. That allows me to see whether I want to trace all of them or only a selection. If you have trouble making choices, you can make pictures of the different possibilities and compare them. Taking some distance can help making the best choice. In the end, I decided to trace only the larger leaves, and I deliberately offset the outline slightly. That creates more contrast and makes the design stand out better. A handy trick, isn't it? Using a piece of plastic like this lets you preview your design choices before committing to them on the card. And when you are done, the plastic can simply be wiped clean and used again. I hope I have given you some fun ideas and inspiration for your own card making. If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you leave a like or a comment below. You can find more inspiration on my Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram and in the Carla Creates Facebook group. The links to the products I used can be found in the description below this video. Thank you for your support and I hope to see you there as well. Thank you for watching. And I will see you next time. Bye bye!